Warner Brothers Discovery has announced layoffs are beginning at their company, but what's hidden in this Deadline article is revealing that Disney is not done with their layoffs either. Let's talk about that here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is Mr. Vash Sky. Vash, are you doing all right, man?
I am doing just fine, and I am very happy that I am happily employed by That Park Place News Network.
Me too.
But I will say, when you're working for a major corporation, employment might be changing.
Yeah. Let's talk about the industry at large. Now, I went ahead and talked about this in the teaser for this video. This is an article that is about Warner Brothers Discovery starting a new round of layoffs. You might gather that from the fact that the title of the article is Warner Brothers Discovery starts new round of layoffs. This by Peter White from Deadline. We're human people. We find humor in repeating ourselves. Says the guy who says, like this video if you like this video. This is an exclusive article here by Mr. Peter White. We'll get into this, but there is something obviously hidden in the details here. The fragile state of the film and television business continues with another set of layoffs hitting the industry. Deadline understands that WBD is making more cuts this week as part of another round of cost-cutting measures. We hear that pink slips have started being distributed across the company, including at Max and in some areas of production, business affairs, and finance. It comes a year after a round of layoffs that led to the departure of a number of network executives in the cable business. That would probably be TBS. Insiders say that this round is significantly smaller than previous cuts and will impact small pockets of people in a variety of business areas. It sounds like cuts across the board here. People are being informed today and through the week, and will update as you see more. This comes a week after 100 people were laid off at WBD-owned CNN last week. That's at 2.9% of its 3,500 employee workforce was impacted. That's in an election year. By the way, CNN, their greatest, I'm going to be careful as I say this, the subject that made CNN the most money over the last 8 years or so has returned, and something dramatic happened to him on the previous Saturday of last week. So that's a big deal if they still need to cut 2.9% of their workforce. CNN should be raking in the dough right now. So I'm not understanding that right there, other than just cost cutting in general. Vash, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, we've heard that Zaslav can be a little, he's likes to trim the fat, so to speak. And honestly, CNN, I mean, yes, they did get maybe a boon in their ratings because of the recent events, right? But is that enough to sustain them? I mean, their trajectory and track record hasn't been great in terms of the financial implications surrounding everything. So I can kind of see, hey, look, listen, maybe we have a hot moment right now, but it doesn't undo a lot of the bad that we've had previous.
Yep, I totally agree. Now, this is the paragraph where we want to pay attention closely. See if you can find our favorite word, the secret word we often talk about on this channel. I think you all know what it might be, and that is Skydance. No, I'm just kidding. However, Warner Brothers Discovery is very much not alone in this time when it comes to layoffs. Paramount, which is about to be bought by Skydance, is expected to make more layoffs as part of its cost-cutting measures ahead of its close of its acquisition by David Ellison Skydance, a move that comes after it already cut around 800 people earlier this year. Disney is also expected to make more cuts over the coming months. That's the headline right there, that Disney is supposed to be making more cuts. Now, when Bob Iger came in, one of the reasons that the company revolted to have Bob Iger come back was because Bob Chapek was going to be making cuts. And I guess they're more okay with it if it's Bob Iger making those cuts because they like him more. Maybe they like the tone of his voice. It's not as reedy or something like that. But Bob Iger has made even more cuts than Bob Chapek had announced that he was ever going to make for this company. We obviously have a tragic list here. Marvel specifically laying off its workforce. By the way, we've heard from reliable sources, and this isn't a huge scoop. This is secondary. So, this is someone that we trust their sources, that says that Marvel has cleaned house in a way that within the next few years, not anytime soon, that they've purged out some of the producers that were pushing towards more of that agenda-driven content, and they're getting back more to what made them successful in the past. So maybe layoffs, not bad in all instances. We hope those people find work at a studio where the budgets are in line with that kind of filmmaking. But I'm hopeful for Marvel in the future. Obviously, the news of the Russo brothers coming back to Marvel, that was reported in The Hollywood Reporter. That is a big deal, and can't help but notice that that's two white guys who made a lot of money for Marvel on that one. I don't mean to be callous here to the Disney people. We'll return to them. At the end of last year, CEO David Zaslav addressed previous cuts. I remember our first big layoff. It was brutal, but Warner Brothers and Time Warner and even Discovery, those are companies that had never really been restructured for the future. That's really saying something, but because Warner Brothers and Time Warner are companies that have been around the block a few times as far as mergers and acquisitions. And so we decided that we have to have courage. We have to figure out how to restructure these businesses for the future. We said no sacred cows, he told Andrew Ross Sorkin at the New York Times DealBook Summit. Here we go, though. Earlier today, one media analyst suggested that Warner Brothers Discovery needed to do something to address the fact that the stock has declined 70% since the merger. Bank of America global research analyst Jessica Reif Ehrlich said the current composition as a consolidated public company is not working and all options need to be on the table. This is fascinating as well because Warner Brothers, by most accounts, is actually headed in the right direction other than stock price. We're often asked why me and Valiant, Vash, I don't want to include you in this because we never make financial advice on this channel. We do not do financial advice on this channel. We've been asked, though, why are we so hard on Disney and so good towards Discovery? Well, David Zaslav is willing to say where mistakes have been made. He's even willing to say where he made mistakes, and he makes them very quickly. And he fixes them very quickly. They've paid off billions of dollars in debt at that company. They've been very forthright. They've been very transparent. And David Zaslav has shown that he is willing to make big moves to save that company. So those are my reasons with David Zaslav. And Vash, can you guess who might be the opposite of that?
I think it's a company we talk about semi-regularly on our various channels. Probably somebody like the Walt Disney Company.
Yeah. Bob Iger doesn't do a good job of he'll do an aw shucks every now and then. He makes it sound like he's walking back a mistake that he made, but no, what he usually does is find a way to blame everybody else. He's got a good combination of folksiness and finding a way to blame someone else for his problems. He's just slick enough that he hasn't had to make the hard changes there. Now, of course, I'm sorry to those of you in the Walt Disney Company who might be hearing this for the first time. I understand some of you watch this channel pretty regularly and don't read Deadline, but I'm hopeful that whatever the cuts are, that they are to people that can find jobs elsewhere. Vash, is there anything we need to add here before we wrap up this video?
It's just it's a tough economic climate right now, and I believe there was like a big LA Times article about this going on about how people are leaving the California area in order to find not only employment but a place to live elsewhere because it's just so darn expensive to be in that well, let's say the 30-mile zone, let's say, right? I think the magic, the luster is kind of worn off here as studios begin to downsize their productions. We'll talk about that Survive till 25. I just don't know, Jonas. I don't really see the industry really ramping up in 2025 onward at this point. We still haven't figured out the streaming game. Disney's talked about how, oh yeah, we're going to become profitable by Q4 of 2024, and it's going to be rainbows and sunshine after that. And it's like, is it though? I mean, we are billions of dollars in debt on this exercise. We still haven't figured it all out. I mean, David Zaslav, a lot of his moves that he's been making still haven't come to fruition. Obviously, you have a myriad of entertainment productions that are on the way. You have a restructuring that's occurred with their streaming services. It's going to take time for this stuff to play out. I just don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yep. We are hearing that James Gunn's Superman is close to being done with filming. And of course, this is the difference when we talk about Marvel versus DC. DC is currently in the middle of a reboot. Obviously, the end of the DCEU has finally occurred. My goodness, may it rest in peace. But Marvel is just going on to its next phase. So they've never quite acted like they've had a problem at the box office. There's been some folksy stuff that they've never quite admitted what it was that they weren't going to keep doing, but they're going to change some things. They're going to seem like they're almost the same thing that they've been doing already. So there's no clear delineations to say, this is the thing that we did wrong, and this is the thing that we're going to do right. That's my question at Disney. Why are you doing it the way that you do it? If you never admit that you make a mistake, you can never explain how you're making a change. We want to throw this to our commenters and ask, what do you think about this entire situation? What could Disney change that would point them towards profitability, so that they don't have to fire any more people? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Of course, like this video if you like this video, and consider subscribing to That Park Plays for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.